Hello, friends, brothers, and sisters on the path of return. This is Keith Joseph from the Institute for Hermetic Studies. Today, I am talking about an essay from the Introduction to Magic by Julius Evola and the Group. This essay is actually by Evola. It's The Nature of Initiatic Knowledge. The name of the essay is The Nature of Initiatic Knowledge. It is Evola at his most militant and uncompromising. Really, Evola, why we love him. So, the nature of initiatic knowledge has three aspects that make it different from what ordinarily passes as knowledge in the modern world, in the modern context. It transforms the knower. So, in order to know more, you must develop yourself. You are being transformed. So, you don't just get to know things without changing and developing. So, in that way, it's similar to alchemy. If you've taken an alchemy class at the institute, or you're familiar with the ideas of alchemy, the transformation of the material world that the alchemist brings about is dependent upon and a expression of the inner transformation that the alchemist has already accomplished. In some ways, the transformation of the material world is his evidence or her evidence that an inner transformation has taken place. So, initiatic knowledge is necessarily transformative, and Evola will have some things to say about that, but I'll get into that in a second. It also confers power, not in the kind of corny knowledge is power sense, but because you are being transformed, you are becoming more powerful. So it's transformative, it confers power, and it's based in direct experience. It's not theoretical knowledge, it's knowledge based in direct experience. So maybe the best place to start would be with this idea of direct experience. Evola mentions this, and it's true. Obviously, we all have some idea of what we mean by this. If I say, what does a peach taste like? It's very difficult to describe the taste of a peach, but you know what a peach tastes like if you've ever eaten a peach, right? And when you're eating a peach, you are having a direct experience, and that is knowledge of the peach. Your feelings have this kind of character. If you feel pain, if you stub your toe or something, right? That's a direct experience of pain. Even more, not necessarily abstract, but if you're in love, if you've ever been in love, that's a feeling, and you're in love. You can't really explain it, or people do try, I guess, in romantic poetry and things like that. But it's a difficult thing to explain. But it's a direct experience. That is the nature of initiatic knowledge. But what Evola points out is that for most people, uninitiated people, that's the extent of their direct experience, those kinds of emotions and feelings and experiences. Eating a peach, or perhaps being in love, is the most rarefied and refined kind of experience that an uninitiated person would have access to. Then the second point, so it's direct experience and it's transformative, meaning that you have to develop. And so the point that Evola makes is that as you gain more and more knowledge, what you're gaining knowledge of is he calls the absolute, the one, right? And as you're progressing and your understanding is developing, you are transforming. In order to understand the nature of reality, you have to change, you have to transform. So there's a transformative aspect to the acquisition of initiatic knowledge. necessarily so. It must be the case. And so Evola emphasizes then that this is not a democratic, initiatic knowledge is not democratic, it's not egalitarian, it's necessarily hierarchical, it necessarily differentiates between people. And of course, this is why Evola is controversial in some quarters. He contrasts initiatic knowledge and that transformative aspect, that anti-democratic, anti-egalitarian aspect of the knowledge with technology, right? Anyone can have a cell phone. You don't have to have any sort of internal development. And of course, that's why that technology is somewhat dangerous, because it's very easy to get addicted to that and become its slave. And in fact, a lot of the technological development that we see is outsourcing our own abilities. And so, for example, you probably have had this experience if you grew up without a cell phone. So when I was young, for example, I had all my friends' telephone numbers memorized. My memory was probably stronger, more developed. And then once I had the cell phone, I didn't have to remember anything, at least not phone numbers. So the technology is outsourcing our own abilities rather than developing them, which takes us to that third point. And here, the third point being that the initiatic knowledge confers power. Evola contrasts this with mysticism. He has somewhat of an idiosyncratic or unique, or at least he provides a technical definition of mysticism that's somewhat unique to him. Is, I wouldn't say characterizes mysticism generally understood, but he contrasts mystical experience and mystical knowledge with initiatic knowledge, in that mystical knowledge, a mystical experience where you just dissolve yourself into this greater experience, and it could even be the ultimate experience, but you do it passively, and therefore, because it's not an active activity, it's not an active identification of yourself with the known, it's not an active identification of the knower and the known, it doesn't confer knowledge in the same way that initiatic knowledge does. And so this is the essence of initiatic knowledge. It's direct experience, it's transformative, and it's an active identification. The way that you know is by becoming the known. That's the, and so if you're going to know the divine, if you're going to know the deity, you are going to become the deity. And so you can see it has a transformative aspect, it has power, and it's a direct experience, it's a direct knowing. And so that's the, I think, the point of this essay. It's fun to read. It's not an easy read. He's a, it's Evola, he's a dense writer. But let me see if I can share some of this with you here. He says on this question of power, sorry for my stuttering here. The modern man, he says, is farther away from the path of realization than man was in any other civilization, because a surrogate knowledge and power that one may well call diabolical replaces authentic knowledge and power in him. And that's the point of the way that the modern world is constructed, such that technology and what passes as knowledge is actually disempowering. It actually takes away power. In the initiatic domain, we repeat authentic knowledge is justice, a sanction of dignity and natural and inalienable emanation of an integrated life, according to the well-defined degrees of such an integration. Just as in this order of things, knowledge achieved beyond the uncertainty and ambiguity of sensible phenomena does not refer to formula or to abstract explicative principles, but rather to real beings grasped through immediate spiritual perception. Likewise, the ideal of power is here that of an action occurring not subject to natural laws, but above them, not among phenomena, but among the causes of phenomenon, with the irresistibility and the right proper to him who is superior. And this superiority comes from having effectively disengaged himself from the human condition and from having achieved the initiatic awakening. So hard teachings from Evola, but I think inspiring and reminding us that what passes as progress, or what we sometimes conceive of as progress in the modern world, may not actually be what it appears to be. And that if we're really going to pursue the path of initiation, it behooves us to be very suspicious of what the modern world is offering to us, and to realize, remember in Plato, the idea of the cave, that cave is the modern world, right? And that's what we're trying to escape from. So I hope that is useful and helpful. I hope that is interesting and encourages you to check out this book. I have my soft cover one here because I was my notes are in it, but the hardcover is more durable. I will put links to the Teachable course on alchemy and to the Vox Hermes blog from the Institute. I hope that you check those things out, and hopefully coming soon we will have a course on all 3 volumes of the Introduction to Magic. The 3 volumes are very much in line with the overall teachings of the Institute and the Hermetic Path, so it should be a great course. I'm looking forward to it. And I will continue to talk about some of the essays in this text because I'm rereading it. I'm doing some of the practices that are in the text. There's practices and more philosophical or theoretical essays like this one. Um, and I'll try to discuss both, and I'll try to give you some of my results of my practice. So please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you've read Evola, if you've done any of the work in this text or have questions, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.